Hello there, U.S. history students. Lesson 5 of Unit 4 awaits. Here's our learning target. I will understand the cultural, economic, and political issues that divided the U.S. from 1800 to 1850s, right before the Civil War. Much of this divide had to do with which states would be free and which states would still have slavery. New states. In the years before the Civil War, new states were joining the Union. The major issue was whether the number of free states and slave states would remain balanced. This decided what states would have the most power in Congress. Sectional tensions out west. The Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 repealed, meaning canceled, the Missouri Compromise line, giving people in Kansas and Nebraska the choice whether to allow slavery in their states or not. And this choice was called popular sovereignty, giving the people the independence to decide. And here's the Nebraska territory, here is the Kansas territory. Sectional tensions out west. The Kansas-Nebraska Act produced bloody fighting in Kansas. Pro- and anti-slavery forces battled each other. It also led to the birth of the Republican Party in 1854 to oppose the spread of slavery. And the Republican Party's logo involves an elephant. Going back to Bleeding Kansas, which basically meant that there's a statewide civil war going on in the 1850s between those that like slavery and those that want it abolished. The Nullification Crisis. South Carolinians argued that sovereign, meaning independent, states could nullify means cancel, the Tariff of 1832, and other acts of Congress. The worry here was that a country that allowed its state's governments, including South Carolina, to cancel acts of Congress could be ruined by states seceding, breaking away, to defend slavery. South Carolina starts something here. And Andrew Jackson stops it. The president threatens to send federal troops to collect the tariff revenues, telling South Carolina, you need to pay up. Sectional tensions caused by slavery. Slave revolts in Virginia, led by Nat Turner, this man, and Gabriel Prosser, also known as Gabriel Prosser, fed white Southerners' fears about slave rebellions and led to harsh laws in the South against fugitive slaves. These men rebelled, but the Southerners were scared, so the laws grew harsher. Southerners who favored abolition, meaning the freeing of slaves, were intimidated into silence. Meanwhile, in the North, Northerners, led by William Lloyd Garrison, this man right here, publisher of a newspaper called the Liberator, increasingly viewed the institution of slavery as a violation of Christian principles and argued for its abolition. They were not intimidated like the Southerners. Southerners grew alarmed by the growing force of the Northern response to the abolitionists. Men like this were spreading words through publications like the Liberator. You see this is a publication from 1841. Women, the women's suffrage movement. While the abolitionist movement was going on with slavery, another reform movement took root, the movement to give equal rights to women. And suffrage means the right to vote. These women want a voice in their government. Also in the women's suffrage movement, the Seneca Falls Declaration was a rally in New York in 1848 to address women's rights issues. And there was a Declaration of Women's Rights signed. And here are all the ladies that signed it, and here are all the gentlemen that signed it in 1848. It was a lot like July 4th, 1776 Declaration by a certain Jefferson. Very similar. In the women's suffrage movement, there were two key leaders. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, here he is, she is, and Susan B. Anthony, here she is. They were key leaders in the women's suffrage movement. Susan B. Anthony says, "No man is good enough to govern any woman without her consent. Women are independent people who deserve respect in society." And summary question time. Please think of 2 questions that you would like to ask, write them down, and when you're done, you are done with 4-5. Until next time, this is Mr. Deegan saying goodbye.